What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, coming at you with another Dauntless video. But first, if you enjoy quality gaming content, then consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. That being said, for today's video, I wanted to bring you guys all of the latest updates that are on the live experimental server right now. For those of you that are curious how to get in, it's actually completely random. All you have to do is log into your main account, and if you were randomly selected, you should have an in-game letter in your Ramsgate mailbox letting you know that you got access to it. I unfortunately didn't. However, a good friend of mine and our admin on the Glitch Gang Discord, Neo Villain, he was lucky enough to get in, and shout out to him for being kind enough to let me use his account to capture this footage for you guys. I will preface this by saying that this is test footage, so everything that I'm about to show you guys is subject to changes upon the final release. So consider this your spoiler warning. If you don't want to ruin any of the content that might be coming down the pipe, and you want to wait till the full release, then turn away now. But yeah, the main things we're testing in today's video was Heroic Escalations, which I can tell you right now is extremely tricky and difficult, and you're going to want to be fully maxed out, but we'll talk about that a little later. And the other thing was portals, which are going to be added to the hunting grounds, which is a cool new feature that I'm really excited about. So let's jump right into it. On the topic of hunting grounds, though, the other cool thing that I noticed when I first logged in is we do have the private hunt button now to access the private hunts within the hunting grounds. So a lot of you guys have been waiting for that, and we have that now. But let's jump into some hunting grounds, and I'll show you guys all the information on the portal system. All right, you guys, so we just spawned into our private hunting ground session on Sunderstone, and as you can see, we have this new obelisk looking thing that we can interact with. This is going to be the portal. Whether or not this is going to be the final look of it, I don't know. I would assume not, because I've already spawned in onto a few other islands, and the look of it, the obelisk itself was the same, but this little like pyramid thing over it was a little bit different on some of the other islands. But long story short, you're going to interact with these, and it brings up a new menu, and this may or may not change again, but by the looks of it, we're going to be getting keys, and I don't think we know the source of how to get these keys yet. I'm not even sure if the devs know yet, but I'm assuming that we'll be getting these keys probably as drops from the actual bosses in their corresponding escalations, or maybe randomly from patrol chests. And you use these keys to teleport you to certain boss arenas or certain special events. So for example, if we go over to, let's say, Malkirian, they spelt that wrong. You click the Malkirian button, and now it looks like we are facing a Malkirian in the Sunderstone map. Randomly spawns in, and we get to fight it. So it looks like we're getting access to escalation bosses within the hunting grounds, which is pretty cool. So I'll face off against this Malkirian here real quick, and we'll probably do a quick cut to when we finish it, just to see if anything special happens here. All right, so we just killed the Malkirian, and it's kind of cool how they changed the look of the map, kind of match the island. Ooh, and we also get, it looks like a new, almost like it's an event drop. What kind of rewards do we got here? 3 golden cores, some aether sparks, and some parts. So that's kind of neat. So it's almost like we're getting the item drops that we would get from a public event on the hunting grounds, but for a boss fight. So that's kind of cool. Give us a chance to fight the bosses without having to run through an entire escalation to get to them. If we've got these keys, we can just teleport right to them. So that's kind of neat. And then now I'm curious is how do we actually get off of this island? You can see the Sunderstone hunting grounds off in the distance. Is there a portal somewhere? Okay, so we must have to go back to the portal. Boom. And and yeah, and then it just teleports us right back. So there's a couple other events that you can do, and I'll probably do a quick cut here to show you the different events, but let's check those different ones out. Primal Surge is a new one. I don't think that this is fully up and running yet, but let's check it out. So it looks like we got these pillars here. By the looks of it, we've got a debuff. And by breaking these different pillars... Ow. It removes one of those 4 debuffs. So I'm assuming that these little beacons here are going to change the final look of him. But yeah, all 4 of those debuffs disappear once I break them, and I'm assuming that the behemoth is going to get stronger now. So this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it's attack speed that's changing or what. But yeah, this particular public event we haven't seen yet. But by the looks of it, we get 4 different debuffs, and by breaking those different pillars, it removes the debuff, but at the same time makes the behemoth a little bit stronger. That's kind of interesting. So we'll slay Valamir here, and then we'll jump into some of the other features that we're trying to test here on the server. All right, so we just took out Valamir. We teleported back to the hunting grounds, and I quickly just went to throw down a supply crate and noticed we have a new little update as well that I didn't notice before. It looks like our Emote Wheel is officially in the game to test out. Whether or not this is officially what it's going to look like, but if you guys watched my previous video on the roadmap update, it did say that we had an Emote Wheel update coming, so it looks a lot cleaner now. Instead of having everything on the wheel, it's a lot more organized. We've got our emotes here that we can just select on the fly, and I'm holding down the emote like selection button to bring it up to kind of like display it. So as long as I'm holding it, I can click through all these, and it looks like it's a lot more organized. So instead of everything being on one wheel where you got to drag, hold it, open up another one, do it, apparently we have buttons now that we can just quickly click through, and it'll have all of the ones that we select already loaded up and ready to go. So cool little sneak peek at what the potential new emote wheel might look like. But the other thing I wanted to check out and do is the Pike updates. And technically, I don't believe this was supposed to be part of the testing server, but it was in here. So let me quickly switch to a Pike build, and I'll show you guys the updates that I've seen so far. All right, so first thing that I've noticed with the Pike is right out the gate, we've got a new dodge. It's this cool little like whirlwind spin kick dodge that we do now. It's not your typical roll, so that's kind of cool. I'm curious if it's going to be further dodge than your typical dodge, or if it's just a different animation. I'll have to kind of test the length of a normal roll compared to that one. The other big thing that I noticed is our normal stab combo, which is our bread and butter attack here. Let me try and get an interrupt so I can show you guys. And this would be a big one. So there's an interrupt. So our normal stab combo doesn't use any stamina. So you can stab as much as you want, and it no longer, at least currently, no longer drains any of your stamina bar. So that's pretty huge, because one of the big issues with Pikes was the stamina cost for all of the attacks. So that's a pretty big one. And then here we've got the dodge again. So pretty interesting changes. I'm curious to see what more they might change to it. Those are the two big things that I noticed switching over. But last but not least, we need to go test out that Heroic Escalation. So let's jump over into that, and I'll give you guys my feedback on that as well. All right, you guys. So the last thing we needed to test was the Heroic Escalation. And as you guys can see, when you go to the hunting grounds or escalation option in your main menu, we have the Heroic Escalation. This is a 40 to 80 difficulty, and I'm going to spare you guys the footage of me getting clapped about 30 times. Out of all of those attempts in the short period of time I've been recording, I managed to only finish it twice, and it was not an easy task. The few takeaways that I'll give you guys is it pretty much is what you would expect, your normal escalation, but it is much harder. The behemoths have way more health, they do way more damage, and the main things that I would keep in mind and make sure you have before even attempting this is it's pretty much next to impossible if you haven't maxed out your escalation amp perks and gotten that third power boost. Anything below that third power boost, even if you have level 20 gear, pretty much one-shot you no matter what. So that alone was really difficult, and because we're limited to some of the builds we can make in this test server, made it even harder. The two attempts that I was able to complete, I went full out damage with one build with like Predator, Berserker, Overpower, Rage, as much damage as I could possibly get, and just happened to get really lucky with my amps and nearly flawless the majority of the behemoths, so I was able to beat it that time. And then the second time was the exact opposite, where I went very full life support heavy, not support but defensive heavy, with like tough and tenacious, and I went with a Skarn weapon for the additional shields. I picked up Torrent Shield for the amp, and I was able to beat it with that as well, but because we were doing less damage, the fights took forever. They took a really long time, and you burn through your potions very, very quickly. So on that note, the things that I would recommend would be to definitely max out, at least get to Power Boost 3, if not fully get all 25 points in each of the corresponding escalations before you try and do the heroic version. The other thing is I would ideally try and max out as many of these min-max reforged perks as you can get to give you that little extra advantage, because trust me, you're gonna need it for all of these fights, as well as maxing out the carry capacity for your main potions that you're going to be using, your tonics, because you will burn through these quite often, and having things like Catalyst to increase the duration and effectiveness of these tonics is going to be very, very helpful, because even with max armor and max weapons, in some situations, depending on the behemoth combinations, it still wasn't even enough. So having that extra tonic boost was definitely beneficial. But yeah, I'll probably play through some clips here just to show you guys how crazy it was, but expect a definite hardcore endgame activity. Whether or not it'll stay that difficult when the final release comes out, I don't know. It may also just be because on my particular version of the test server, a lot of the typical perks that you would have used weren't fully maxed out, so I couldn't really get a full idea of it. But yeah, trust me, it is a very difficult challenge. Definitely an end game piece of content. So a lot of you guys that have beaten all the in-game stuff already and are looking for something to do, this should keep you busy. But all in all, it was still pretty fun. And I think it'll be a lot more enjoyable on full release when things are more fine-tuned and we've got access to all the fully unlocked gear. But yeah, so really enjoyable. I enjoyed the test server this time around, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the portals and stuff like that. That looks like a pretty cool mechanic. I'm interested to see how we're going to get those keys for the portal, whether it's just drops from the actual bosses within the escalations or patrol chests, something like that. From what I read on Reddit and heard from different conversations with devs, even they don't know exactly how they want the key drops to work yet. So definitely something to look forward to. But yeah, if you guys found this video informative, you enjoyed the content, Be sure to hit that like button, comment down below. I appreciate you guys' feedback. And as always, if you're not already a member of the Glitch Gang, consider hitting that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And be sure to join the Discord as well. We have upwards of 200 plus people in there right now that are always looking for fellow slayers to hunt with. So really great community. We're growing more and more every day, but hopefully we see you guys around. Until the next time though, hope you guys had a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you're looking to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, then be sure to click the link in the description and join the Glitch Gang Discord server. We continue to grow every day, and it's filled with all your favorite game discussion channels, as well as several LFG channels to help you find that perfect group for your next hunt or raid. Lastly, if you're new to the channel and want to keep up to date with all my future content, then consider hitting that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Hope you all had a great day, and I will catch you on the next one.